Do you ever think of some of the most influential wrestling characters of our time? I am Eric Emanuel. I used to be 500 pounds, and I have to be honest with you, as I'm on this journey of self-discipline, you think back to brotherly love. You think back to, oh God, look at that. Everything is tipping. Everything doesn't seem to want to go according to plan when you set out to do it a certain way. Kind of like being a WWE writer. You have to imagine, it's got to be one of the most thankless jobs of all time. I picked up a book from Brian Gewirtz. If you don't know who Brian Gewirtz is, Brian Gewirtz went on to become The Rock's, quote, writer, and he worked with a lot of the boys. You may know him from Edge and Christian. Man, that story from Wrestler's Court, a writer being taken to Wrestler's Court, is absolutely fantastic. But I started thinking a lot about my journey and where I've been and how I've said I wanted to be a writer with WWE. And man, do you remember back in the day, if you've been around a long time, you maybe just come into this video to be like, wow, Tubby, your face looks so chiseled and great. Thank you. But back in the day, we used to actually apply to be writers. Tony and I actually went to the website to apply, but we never did. And then you sit there and wonder, what does it actually take to be a writer these days? Because Triple H's WWE is absolutely fantastic, right? He finds the people and he's just coming back to them. Look at guys like Bronson Reed. Look at everybody he's built in NXT. Going back to the Four Horsewomen. You have Ronda Rousey on the independents now. But the thing a lot of people tend to forget is if you were going to have the Four Horsewomen in WWE versus the MMA, which we all long speculated a long time ago, one of the Four Horsewomen, Marina Shafir, she's great, but she needs more work. That's why she's in AEW getting more reps under her belt. So Ronda going to team with her friend is even better. And the fact that we're crapping on that as wrestling fans, we need to pick up this microphone and support the people, because is that a fall from grace, or is it just Ronda doing what she loves? If you love this business and a guy like Jon Moxley goes to an independent scene, you support it. But when Ronda Rousey does it, wow, it's a fall from grace. And I think that's where we get a little caught up right now, especially me, because I'm trying to figure out what's important to me. And listening to tales like Brian Gewirtz, where he's like, growing up, I actually like guys like Bob Backlund and, you know, taking your vitamins and paying your taxes like IRS. And then I'm sitting there listening to that the last 12 years going, that's what IRS was for. Man, I need to talk to IRS. If I can get Iron Schuster on the horn and figure out how to get some back taxes. Let's take care of that. Let's put me in a ring and you can just send my paycheck right to the IRS. That's fine. That's fine. I'll get in there and preach you with a sermon. But it took listening to these audiobooks, something that you love and you know. So if you're getting upset and you're just bored about constantly watching this entertainment online, we're watching people play video games and you're just like, I don't feel like I'm getting fulfilled. Well, I picked up the writer's book from Brian Gewirtz. What better person to learn from than one of the most successful writers of all time, and just get to hear his stories and his anecdotes and how he came up with some of the most famous storylines of all time. God damn, Brian, that book really shaped me. I really appreciate you. And then he interacted with me on Twitter and put it over even harder. And I think that's the hard thing about finding your path, and why I'm going to pick up this microphone and what we're actually going to say is because for the last 10 years, we've just came on here and complained. We haven't actually done anything to benefit. If you have friends that love a certain kind of wrestling, instead of dragging on them, why don't you send them links and pay attention to your friends and fill them in? Why are we trying to ruin the thing that we love so much instead of grow it? I still remember back to saying the stupidest thing I probably ever said. You know, some people probably come to WWE just to see Nia Jax's makeup, and I remember saying that, and then being at SummerSlam, and then somebody said, no, I'm just here for the makeup and costumes. And I remember telling people that, and they went, no, there's not. They're not there for that. You don't know why people are watching WWE. You don't know what they're trying to escape. Today, Sunday, October 29th, I actually went to church for the first time in a long time. Acoustic music was ringing out. The sermon hit because it was Cain and Abel, of course. And Cain and Abel, kind of like WWE and AEW right now, there's a path. But unfortunately, there's just a bigger thing. We're just all people. We're all just trying to do the thing we love, and supporting wrestlers can do that. What may be good for one company may not be good for the other. What may be good for one wrestler may not be good for another. And that's why, now that I'm back on YouTube and I just get to pick what I enjoy, it's made it a lot funner for me as a wrestling fan. I don't have to watch things I don't like. You know, I know for SEO I got to do Raw reviews and SmackDown reviews, but I don't watch it tons. But that doesn't mean they're not good shows, because when I do watch WWE, they're fantastic because they put the time and the effort in, and now they're just cashing in the best storylines they've had. I've long said they would, and now WWE and Triple H is doing it because his age-old mantra is still the same. If Sasha Banks is over, why would I waste TV time on her? Let her go be Mercedes Moné. Let her be herself. You can always bring her back into the fold because the WWE's never dying attitude is you can never say never. I guess that's me, and that's the end of this story of this video, is a long time ago I was working with WWE, and they were my passion. If WWE was that thing that you listen to Brian Gewirtz tell his story and he eventually gets hired by the company, that was me, but I was self-deprecating back in the day and trying not to take it seriously and play it cool. It would be an honor to work for a company like WWE and even drink the Kool-Aid, because that Kool-Aid provides lifelong memories for people like my father and I, who tried to get me to watch wrestling, and I didn't take the time to fully understand what he was doing. I found what I liked, and then we would just bicker over certain kinds of wrestling and what's better, and the NWA and Vern Gagne and Greg Gagne. Instead of learning, I would just crap on him. So I think that's where, when you pick up one of these and you talk to your buddies why they love wrestling, why they don't love wrestling, maybe we just be the community that is taking in the wrestling. And when Brian Gewirtz says those things in his book, and guys, I highly recommend it. If you don't, there's a link in the description. You can try it on Audible. Maybe you get an Audible subscription if you want to try or support my channel. Maybe I'll put my own link in the description, because somehow, some way, we got to revive this channel. But audiobooks is definitely good for my head. And it was one of the best ones. Especially if you want to get an inside look at WWE and how some of the biggest moments and pops in history are just spur-of-the-moment things that even the best writing can't accomplish. So when we all sit around and we scream at WWE or AEW creative for having nothing for them, sometimes we have to realize the talent themselves are just going to forge their own path. Just like I am. Just like you may, if you follow this journey. So hit the subscribe button, stay around, and I'd love to know, are there any other books that you've read or you've listened to that are wrestling related? Slobberknockers, Chris Jericho's book, anything that gave you an inside look at the industry that made you have a better or greater appreciation for it? For me, Brian Gewirtz, I love you. I think that book, and I'm actually on my second listen through again, just because when you want to be successful as bad as you want to breathe, then you will be. But if I wanted to be a writer, and I said I could for 10 years, but I didn't take time to write. Take it from those that have been there before. Filter out the advice, cut the fat, find out what matters to you, build those principles, and chase after your goals. That is the essence of this channel. And unfortunately, I've got a lot of goals, so I got to get back to work. I got to handle them. But I want to know what your goals are. Maybe you are watching WWE because you want to work in the industry one day. Maybe you're working in WWE, or you're just watching because you just like the form of entertainment. Maybe you like AEW or WWE and you just like trolling people. Maybe you have your own insecurities of things you're trying to hide. For me, I'm going to stop lying to myself. Not only do I love wrestling, I want to be a part of it. I want to be in the middle of that ring. And to do that, self-discipline, goals, the same thing. The people that we love and support and are in the industry just need our help. They'll forge their own path. We just have to give them the reactions in life. And that's all wrestling is. Until next time, Eric Emmanuel, Double E signing out. And you better enunciate that E, Emmanuel.